Every Friday night for years, Last Man Standing served as the show that united families. It was all familiar, the stories, the characters, the laughter. Then, however, everything was different. The major cast began to depart one by one. Viewers were left wondering why their favorite characters vanished, and the replacements didn't seem the same. Was it a shift in career, a difference in creativity, or something more profound? The real tale is more unexpected than you might think. Now, let's begin. Tim Allen made a triumphant return to television in 2011 with Last Man Standing after a long hiatus. The choice wasn't simple. One of the major offers he had already rejected was from CBS, which would have given him $1 million per episode. Last Man Standing, however, was unique. Mike Baxter was envisioned by the show's creator Jack Burdett as a new type of character who resembled Tim the Toolman Taylor, but older and wiser. Allen wasn't initially interested in the position. It reminded him too much of his former persona. 3 times he said no. An agreement that provided him control was what ultimately caused him to change his mind. He would not only star but also serve as executive producer, influencing the show's course. Later, when the program addressed political issues, this independence would become crucial. The show is part of ABC's ambitious plans. They aimed to make it seem like a contemporary All in the Family. The plan was to have a conservative protagonist whose family would question his beliefs. In the hopes that Tim Allen's notoriety would attract viewers, they scheduled the show for Friday nights, which is a difficult time period. It was successful. It was ABC's largest comedy debut since 2004 when it debuted in October 2011 with 13.2 million viewers. It dominated its time slot even in its debut season. It was particularly well liked by viewers between the ages of 18 and 49. For a Friday night event, which is typically a difficult time slot to be successful, this was a huge deal. With an average of more than 8 million viewers per episode, the show maintained high ratings for 6 seasons. That's why its 2017 cancellation by ABC shocked so many people. The core cast's exit was much more surprising. Alexandra Krosny portrayed Mike Baxter's eldest daughter, Kristen Baxter, in the first season of the program. Was a young single mother who gave birth to her son, Boyd, at the age of 17. She tried to balance her life by living with her parents and working as a waitress. The way Krosny gave Kristen a genuine feel was adored by the audience. She was humorous and personable because she had a combination of heart and snark. She added a lot of heart to Kristen's troubles as a young mother, and her quick, funny comebacks with Tim Allen's character were a highlight. However, something surprising occurred after season 1. Krosny would not be returning for the upcoming season, ABC confirmed. They attributed it to differences in creativity. The true causes, however, were more nuanced. The makers of the show made the decision to alter Kristen's account. They wanted her to appear older and more seasoned rather than concentrating on her being a young mother trying to figure things out. They believed that this would give the show a new atmosphere and give her new avenues to debate Mike Baxter on social and political concerns. To make this adjustment, they replaced Kristen with Amanda Fuller, an actress. The appearance of the sisters on the broadcast was another factor in the decision. Alexandra Krosny was younger than Molly Ephraim, who played the middle sister Mandy, despite Kristen being the oldest. This seemed a little strange to the producers. Fuller Amanda, who appeared to be a better choice to portray the oldest sibling because they were older than both Krosny and Ephraim. In addition, Nick Jonas appeared unexpectedly on Last Man Standing in December 2011 as Kristen's ex-boyfriend and baby's father, Ryan Vogelson. The casting was intended to attract attention and increase ratings, yet he was only 19 at the time. After a protracted absence, Ryan unexpectedly returns to town in this Christmas episode. He is portrayed as an anxious and immature adolescent who fled his obligations. According to the episode, he was a numbskull who caused Kristen to become pregnant. Although Jonah's portrayal of Ryan was straightforward and underdeveloped, viewers were particularly taken by his appearance. When Tim Doyle took over as showrunner in season 2, everything changed. He hoped Ryan would be more than a hopeless father. Doyle made the decision to give Ryan more depth and intelligence. Who could counter the conservative ideas of Mike Baxter? Ryan was supposed to become a typical character with stronger ties to the Baxter household. Doyle, however, was unable to retain this character. Ryan was replaced in 2012 by Jordan Masterson. The character was given a whole new life by Masterson, who is well known for his work on Greek. His Ryan was more politically vocal, wiser, and older. He was no longer just a terrified adolescent. He was now able to debate with Mike on important topics like politics and morals. Ryan gained a lot more depth and significance as a result of this transformation. Ryan's character developed further over time. He moved from being a struggling father to owning Best Buds, a cannabis company. The sitcom made fun of Ryan's success in later seasons, revealing how he unwittingly began acting like a capitalist, which Mike thought was amusing. When ABC revealed it was canceling Last Man Standing in May 2017, viewers were taken aback. With more than 8 million viewers and high ratings, it wasn't just any show, it was one of ABC's biggest blockbusters. Given how well it was performing on Friday nights, many anticipated that it would return for a second season. However, the cancellation was unexpected. It was even more unexpected because of the timing. The show's headliner, Tim Allen, had made waves on Jimmy Kimmel Live just 2 months prior. He made a joke about how living in Hollywood as a conservative was like living in Germany in the 1930s. Many questioned whether the network's choice was influenced in any way by that. According to Channing Dungey, president of ABC, it had nothing to do with politics. She asserted that the network intended to switch from Friday comedy to fantasy and sci-fi programming. However, it felt like a slap in the face to the characters and even fans. The actors were open about their feelings. Tim Allen expressed his shock and surprise at the cancellation on Twitter. Nancy Travis, who portrayed his television wife Vanessa, thanked viewers for their support and expressed her sadness with them. In an interview, Ed's actor, Hector Elizondo, alluded to the possibility that politics had influenced the choice. Younger performers like Caitlin Dever and Molly Ephraim began to move on, while the older cast members were stunned. They started searching for new chances because they didn't think the program would return. But the fans weren't prepared to part ways. They launched one of the most successful Save the Show campaigns in history. In just one day, more than 400,000 people signed a petition to revive the show. Fans used the hashtag #SaveLastManStanding to flood Twitter with millions of tweets, some even sent. In reference to Tim Allen's handyman persona, toy tools were brought to ABC's offices. Others demanded that the network revive the show by purchasing billboards in major locations like New York and Los Angeles. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker was among the officials who joined in, raising the possibility that the cancellation was made for political reasons. The reasons for the cancellation were a little more nuanced behind the scenes. Because the show was produced by 20th Century Fox, ABC was required to pay $3 million for each episode. The expenses were further increased by Tim Allen's salary, which was more than $200,000 each episode. Following the cancellation, executives at Fox began selling the show to other networks such as NBC and CMT. Ultimately, Fox themselves took it up. On May 11, 2018, a year later, Fox declared that the show would return. The fans weren't the only reason for this. With millions of viewers for the Roseanne reboot, ABC's success caught Fox's attention. Fox saw an opportunity for their own success and took a bet, investing $50 million to make it happen. The show star Tim Allen hinted on Twitter a few days before to the announcement. He indicated that the deal was already in the works when he advised fans to keep going. Regaining the show wasn't simple. There was a little window of time to get the show back on the air. In May 2018, Fox revealed the revival with a September release date. As a result, the team had only a few months to prepare, script, and shoot. With just 15 weeks to complete their task, the writers began working on the scripts in June. August saw the start of filming at the same studio. However, the original set had been disassembled, so it had to be reconstructed. They taped 3 episodes per week in order to satisfy the deadlines. Later, production was halted by the COVID-19 epidemic, introducing more difficulties. To keep the show at its peak, Fox invested more money in the revival. The cost of each episode increased from $800,000 to $1.01 million. Tim Allen's salary also increased. He was one of the most paid TV actors, earning $235,000 every episode. Fox licensed the streaming rights to Hulu and CMT for $1.05 million each episode in order to assist pay for expenses. In order to conserve money, the production team significantly reduced travel for location shots and filmed more efficiently. It was all worthwhile. 8 million people watched the first season of the show on Fox, and the premiere alone received high ratings. Fans expressed their continued excitement over seeing the Baxter family again. However, there were still obstacles to overcome, and one of the biggest ones was coming up with fresh names. Because Molly Ephraim, who portrayed Mandy Baxter for 6 seasons, believed that Last Man Standing was over when ABC canceled it in 2017. She did not linger. She immediately applied for new jobs. Molly was already occupied when Fox revived the show a year later. She had appeared in a number of films, including Halt and Catch Fire and Brockmire with Hank Azaria. Molly had no choice but to return as Mandy because she couldn't abandon these obligations. The Last Man Standing producers did not want a doppelganger to take Molly's place as Mandy. They were looking for someone who could add something fresh to the position. They looked around before deciding on Molly McCook. The team chose to accept the fact that she didn't resemble Ephraim in the least. Rather than trying to hide the change, they even joked about it on the show. As soon as McCook made her debut in Season 7 as Mandy, the fans were angry. Not My Mandy was the one who created the hashtag, but McCook wasn't deterred. She created her own version of Mandy rather than replicating Ephraim's. She emphasized the character's passion for fashion and her aspirations to work as a designer. She was given more serious stories by the writers, such as Mandy's relationship with Kyle and her pregnancy struggles. Fans gradually warmed up to her, particularly following her poignant moments with Tim Allen, who portrayed Mike, Mandy's father. McCook had demonstrated by that point that she could provide something unique to the role. However, it wasn't just Molly Ephraim who went on. Caitlin DeVore experienced a similar circumstance. Discussions regarding the possible connections between the two shows were triggered by this. The team had thought of numerous crossover concepts over the years, such as making a shared world in which they told the Taylor family from Home Improvement what had transpired. But implementing these concepts was never easy, requiring agreements between several studios and legal issues. A few innovative concepts never progressed past the planning phase. One suggestion was to bring back the complete Home Improvement ensemble for a Tool Time reunion special set in the Last Man Standing universe. Mike Baxter's discovery that he was distantly connected to Tim Taylor was another notion that may have produced an entertaining plot regarding the connection between their family lines. Even a Christmas special that would bring together the cast of both series was planned by the writers. But what about scheduling constraints and legal rights issues? Made it impossible. It wasn't simple when they ultimately made the decision to include Tim Taylor in the show. It required extensive back-and-forth talks because Disney owned the rights to Home Improvement. The crossover wasn't formally approved until the day before the script reading, Abbott disclosed. To get things going, he even threatened to proceed without Disney's consent. Tim Allen, who portrayed Tim Taylor and Mike Baxter, had certain ailments. He desired that Tim Taylor's persona be given due respect and provided with a valid basis for their presence in Colorado. To please everyone, including the original creators of Home Improvement, the writing team rewrote the episode 3 times. Tim Allen made a special effort to get ready. He watched Home Improvement episodes again. Must regain their individuality and ensure that Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor felt like two distinct individuals. Subtle references to Home Improvement such as Wilson and Tool Time were inserted in the last episode, which also revealed what happened to Tim Taylor after the original series concluded. This crossover, which united two cherished series in a way that delighted viewers, turned into one of the most memorable moments of Last Man Standing's last season.